All right, UFC 317. Pretty solid card, top to bottom. Like, pretty underrated card. A lot better than I thought it was gonna be. Like, I don't know. These guys just seem to be able to put mediocre cards together, but they must see something that the rest of us don't because these matchups end up being fire. So, especially the Josh Van and Brandon Royval, which we'll get into later. Um, So yeah, let's go through this top to bottom, starting with the main event. Wow. All I gotta say is wow. Um, Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Like, comes up, puts Charles Oliveira out cold. Never seen anybody do that to Charles. Obviously, he's been dropped numerous times throughout his career. Ilya shuts the lights off. Right? I mean, it was like if you watch the replay of when he landed that hook, he was out on that first punch, and then Ilya lands another one. He goes down, lands another two. It was brutal. And like as Charles is walking out, I'm like looking at him hug his family. I'm seeing his family all emotional and all locked in, and I'm just like, oh Jesus! Like you just knew this wasn't going to end well, right? Obviously, Ilya had his family there, um, but it's just like you watch his walkout, and it's there. He's just so calm. He's in the moment. There's just no fear with this guy, and it's like at this point, like a lot of people think he's the bad guy, he's the villain. I don't think so, dude. I like honestly, like a lot of people think he's talking shit. Like, I don't think this guy's playing around. I don't think he's even trying to talk shit at this point anymore. He's not even trying to talk shit. Like he just honestly is speaking logically of what he thinks he's gonna do in a fight, and he's doing it every single time, right? And I gotta looking at this fight, it's like a lot of the talks going into this were like, oh well, Charles is bigger, he's stronger, he's underratedly strong in the clinch. He hits hard, and a lot of commentary in this fight drove me nuts. I honestly but like he gets in there, clinches Taporia, right? Tries to go for a takedown, gets reversed. Ilya gets him on Charles on the ground, passes the guard, gets into crucifix position. Oliveira obviously escapes. He's world class on the ground. Threatens a leg lock. Ilya easily gets out of that, gets back to the feet, and and it's like the commentary, like they get back on the feet, and Ilya's, landing some nasty body shots in close. I mean, his hands look lightning fast in this fight. Like, clearly has a speed advantage, And of course, Charles is waiting in, like he always does. Murad's in, tries to grab a hold of you, tries to throw a jab. Like, he just is walking right towards a guy that has one punch, devastating power. Typical Charles move, right? That's why I knew this fight was going to be a much easier fight than a Volk, than a Max. In the commentary, like they're like, well, so far you're already seeing, with this size advantage, he's kind of able to absorb a lot of these shots by Ilya, and then it had to have been 15 seconds later that Ilya sleeps him in one punch, and it's just like, okay, shut up. You see the power now is translated up. And everybody always, going into this fight, they like to mention Jai Herbert. Like he didn't absolutely flatline Jai Herbert after Jai rocked him. Anybody in the history of MMA can get rocked. Is most of these guys who were talking shit about Ilya mentioning Jai Herbert and, how does he think he's gonna be good at this weight class? Are probably Islam fans, right? And it's like, look at your boy in Adriano Martins. Adriano Martins put your boy out cold. That means nothing in the career. Things happen, right? And he came back and flatlined Jai Herbert. So I don't know why everybody always likes to use that, going into this fight, like to use that as an argument. Well, look at the only time he's been at lightweight. He got rocked and then came back and flatlined that guy. What's the argument here, bro? Seriously. So he flatlines him, and it's like the commentary. I think there's so much comparison to Conor with this guy, and it's like that shit needs to stop. This is like another level than Conor, right? First, it's like his ability to grapple. You look at his ability to grapple. I mean, Charles Oliveira was trying to threaten a takedown off the clinch and got reversed and taken down off of that and had his guard passed. Conor would never do that. Conor would have gotten taken down and controlled. And then you look at Ilya, like going into this fight, another argument was he was going to get tired. And it's like, look at the Josh Emmett fight. Look at how many significant strikes he landed on Josh Emmett. Conor would never be able to do that. Conor would gas out by round 3. So it's like, the Conor comparisons drive me nuts. This guy would absolutely demolish Conor, probably inside of a round or 2, if they ever fought. Like, let's just stop that. Plus, the quality of wins between the two, you can't compare those. You just can't compare those. So I don't know where those comparisons always come from. And I think people literally, I think the commentary was letting that dictate. I think, they were seeing Charles be able to take Ilya's shots early, right? And they're like, he's able to stand up to these punches. And I honestly think they thought this was going to be a Nate Diaz-Conor situation where Conor's lighting him up early. Nate's taking him, no problem. And then Conor gets tired, punches himself out. And then Nate fucking starts piecing him up on the feet. And then eventually, Conor shoots, panic shoots, and then Nate gets the rear naked choke. I think, honest to God, I think the commentary was thinking that this was going to be that situation. And it's like, guys, relax. Charles took a few punches early. Perfectly normal. Perfectly normal. He's a pretty durable guy, right? Which makes this that much more impressive because he's never been put out cold like that. Not that I know of. I mean, obviously you can drop Charles. That's proven, right? But, putting him out cold on that first shot that he hit him with in that sequence, like, crazy. But it's like, with the commentary, it's like, dude, just because someone can take a couple punches, like, doesn't mean that this is going to go bad for Ilya. Like, at this point, it's like, I don't want to hear shit about the grappling anymore and the size advantage in lightweights. That needs to stop. It needs to stop. Look at the grappling ability of Ilya, which I knew he had, right? Did I think he was going to submit Charles? No, not likely, right? Not likely. Charles has always been dangerous on the ground. Did I think he was going to have problems on the ground with Charles? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And he showed that. So let's get this out of the way right now. Let's get it out of the way. The grappling's not a problem for this man. And then obviously the power translated beautifully. And it's like, dude, this guy he's moving up that all-time list for sure. Like, at this point, like, I mean, dude, Volkanovski, 2nd round knockout. Max Holloway, 3rd round knockout. Charles Oliveira. I mean, that's 3 guys who were at one point top 5 pound for pound. Right? And he just dusted them inside of a round or 2 or 3. Right? So it's like, I think at this point, like, I heard after the fight, like, Joe and Anik and DC talking about who at this point, you got to maybe consider him one of the greatest ever. And it's like, that's one of the things that drives me crazy about these performances like this at this level is everybody loses their shit and starts saying really illogical stuff. It's like, okay, is he probably top 10 at this point? I would say so. I would say so. Is he one of the most impressive fighters we've seen at these lower weight classes? I would say so, for sure. For sure. Like, obviously, I would put him top 10 at this point, but, like, let's calm down on the whole Goat Mountain talk. Let's calm down. Look, he was very impressive, right? Very impressive. His ability to defend the grappling, pass the guard, get Charles in a crucifix, that impressed me. Because I knew the knockout was happening, but, like, his ability to defend on the ground and pass guard against the jiu-jitsu guy like Charles, like, that was super impressive to me. So he's going to be a hard guy to beat at lightweight, but, like, let's calm down on the GOAT talk. Let's slow down a second. Let's let him get some more wins under his belt. He's 17-0. He's a 2-division champion. He's special, for sure. He's well-rounded everywhere. I promise you, he doesn't get tired either. He does not get fucking tired either. It can go 25 minutes. We haven't even seen that because he hasn't needed that besides the Josh Emmett fight, right? He hasn't needed it at a championship level yet. I promise you he has that in his bag. He can go into deep waters and be fine. Respect to Josh Emmett, though, man. I don't know how he made the bell. That's crazy. Because none of these other guys who are way better than Josh Emmett have been able to make it to the final bell with him. So super impressive win. I don't know, though. Like, after I was watching the post fight and, like, this whole Patty thing, dude. Like, what are you doing? Thank God that Dana like kind of cleared that up in the press conference and was like, I don't know what Patty was doing, and I don't know who let him in. That was not the plan. Thank God. Like, dude, I understand like marketability and business and things like that. You know, obviously you want to make the money fights, and that probably is the biggest money fight right now in the division because of the hand sanitizer boy backstory there. Which, God, it's crazy. Like, I remember this guy being hand sanitizer boy and being this short Georgian dude who nobody knew, and you know, he went from that to now he's hoisting 2 belts over his head. He's a double champ, and he's a superstar. It's crazy to see how far this guy's come. But that, you know, probably is the biggest fight, him and Patty. But it's like, dude, the the amount that these guys were pandering to that fight. You got Chael, you got all Dominic, you got Joe, like all these guys were just pushing so heavily for that fight, and it's like, dude, like this guy. I mean, look at Patty's last 3 fights. I understand this is a big money fight. This is a bad blood matchup. There's a backstory. They hate each other, dude. Patty's last 3 wins: Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green, Michael Chandler. Look, Tony Ferguson's a can. He just is, right? 8-fight losing streak. Bobby Green's a can at this point, dude. Bobby Green is a can. You can't do that. Come on, you can't count that as a solid, good ranked win. I know Bobby was ranked at the time. Bro, Bobby's a 50-50 fighter, okay? Michael Chandler? Michael Chandler is not a top guy at this point. Michael Chandler's never been a top guy. Michael Chandler's like one of those guys, every time he's been hoisted into a big fight, he's never gotten the job done. I mean, Dan Hooker back in 2020, dude? Come on. Come on, dude. You can't get a title shot coming off of Michael Chandler. And the amount that these guys were pandering to that last night on the post-fight interview, it fucking sickened me, dude. It sickened me. They're like, well, Patty, no disrespect to these other guys, Armin but Patty, and it's like I understand, like, you know, it's a business. They do want to make money, but dude, there has to be some level of respect in the sport at this point. Like, we have to, like, that's why I'm happy Dana cleared it up. Dana, you know, was like, no, I don't know what we're gonna do. Thank God, bro. You cannot beat Michael Chandler and get a title shot. Initially, my whole thing with that was like, this is bullshit. Armin should definitely be next. I don't know why they brought up Gaethje, by the way. Like, and they were all asking who should be next on the post-fight desk. And freaking, you know, so you got most of these guys are pandering to Patty because it's the big money fight. And it's like, dude, shut the hell up. I understand, but like, come on. Michael Chandler to a title shot? No, not happening. There's no way. And Anthony Smith chimes in and he's like, I think Gaethje is the most logical decision. Get that man off of the... Man has CTE. Get him out of there. I'm all sitting here yelling at my TV. Get this man out of here. Get him off the desk. Get Anthony Smith off the desk. He's taking too much damage. He has CTE at this point. Gaethje's the logical man. Everybody's sitting here, well, I don't know, maybe Armin, oh, well, maybe Patty, you know, oh. Well, hey, I think Gaethje makes sense. Get this man out of here, UFC. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. So, I mean, that was kind of sickening. And then, I don't know, though, I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, you know, well, Arman kind of screwed them out of a main event. You know, kind of really wrecked that card with that main event. Because that was a fight a lot of people were looking forward to, myself included. You know, a good high-level matchup between him and Islam. And it's recently come out that he didn't actually have a back injury. He missed weight. I don't know how true that is, but that's kind of bad if you did miss weight, because, you know, and it's, I don't know, man. Like, obviously Armin is the #1 contender, but, like, dude, it's like you kind of, you know, whether it was a back injury, whether it was weight, you kind of screwed them out of a main event. And you've been sitting on your butt for the last 6 months doing nothing. Like, it's crazy to me at this point, man. It's like, I don't know. Like he kind of like I do think Arman is the trickiest test for Ilya, which I'll probably make a separate video on those upcoming potential matchups for Ilya. But it's like, dude, Arman, you got to get busy. I know you weighed in as a backup for this fight, but like, bro, what have you done since January when you pulled out of the fight on a day's notice? Like, at this point, I don't feel bad. I think they need to do a title eliminator. They need to line up a title eliminator. I mean, honestly, you could do Gaethje Arman, you could do Gaethje Pimblett, you could do Gaethje, or you could do Arman Patty. That's probably one I would imagine they're leaning more into. Gaethje's kind of trying to play hardball, saying he'll retire if he doesn't get a shot. It's like, dude, shut up, bro. Come on. You've had 2 title shots. You've gotten your ass kicked every time. You've gotten choked out. I'm pretty sure Khabib choked him rear naked choke, and Charles got a rear naked choke on him. Bro, you've been rear naked choked in your 2 other title fights. You've had 2 BMF fights. 2 BMF fights, bro. Shut your mouth and put in more work. My man's coming off a win over Fiziev talking about, I'm going to retire if I don't get a shot. Go play golf, little bro. Go play golf. Go play golf. You won a Ferrari recently. Why don't you go start up the golf career? All right, kid? Get out of here. So, yeah, I mean, this is kind of a long-winded main event, but I just feel like Ilya answered a lot of questions. I'm happy he did because the amount of glaze to Charles that the commentary was given, it's like, dude, just because someone can stand up to a few punches in the first round does not mean that spells disaster for Ilya. I understand, like, he's kind of a victim of his own success at this point. Like, we expect big knockouts from him. And hey, we got it. We got it. That's it. Yeah, Charles stood up to a few punches. Charles is a former world champion, a world-class fighter. But, dude, the game planning for him. Wow. Walking into the pocket in range with Ilya. Whew. Crazy. Crazy KO for Ilya Topuria. We'll get into more of the kind of log jam that's in the lightweight division in like a separate video. Let's move on. We've talked about this long enough. Super impressive from Ilya. I'd probably put him in top 10 all time at this point. But like, let's calm down on the Goat Mountain talk for now. For now, he's special. I'd put him in the top 10. Let's calm down on the Goat Mountain here. All right, Pantoja, Kaikar, France. I mean, Pantoja, really solid performance from him. I thought Kai looked terrible in this fight. I think he looked slow, kind of ploddy. He's winging big punches. Like, Pantoja was doing really good chaining the strikes into the takedown. And I mean, Kai, I don't know, man. It's like you walk out with this mean mug on your face like you're gonna do something, and you just don't do anything. Hardly, right? Like, the takedowns were there for Pantoja. The ground game was money. I've never seen anybody control Kai like that. But, I mean, he got that body lock. He controlled him. Did really good on the ground. Didn't beat him up too bad in, like, the first round. But Kai just really couldn't. He had no answer for the ground game. He couldn't get back up. And it's like, from there, it's like you kind of knew that, like, this is probably going to be a significant problem for him because all it takes is a takedown from Pantoja, and he can hold him in position for the rest of the round, right? Even if he doesn't get a finish. Clearly there seemed to be a strength advantage with Pantoja. Like, Kai, like, every time like he would get hit or something, he would stumble around. Like, it just seemed like Pantoja had a significant strength advantage in this fight, right? He kind of ran him over in the second with one of those takedowns, just flattened him, pancaked him. And again, Kai just, he kind of started scrambling a bit back to his feet, was doing a bit better the second round, but Pantoja's ground game and his, like, danger, he's become a lot more dangerous on the ground, right? Like, I remember when he used to just kind of, like, ride people out, like in the Moreno fight, in the Roybal fight. Dude, this guy's gotten better, and it's like, once these guys, like, you get these guys that start defending titles, like, it seems like once they get to that, like, 2 or 3 plus title defense rate, it's really hard for them to be beaten at that point. They say you get 30% better, you get more confidence. And it's like, dude, these guys just have so much confidence at this point where they've defended a belt, 2-3 times. that it's like, you know, it's just gonna take someone special to beat him at this point. Um, you know, I know Joshua Van is most likely next. Dude, love watching Josh Van fight. I cannot pick him against Alexandre Pantoja at this point. Like, I mean, I'm at this point where, like, if you look at the resume, I know they were doing a lot of comparison with him and DJ for who's the greatest of all time in flyweight. Dude, we got to stop using his DJ's title defenses. That's kind of carrying DJ. All respect to DJ, like, that's kind of carrying him at this point. And I can't remember who said it. I don't know if it was Dom or somebody, but like they made a really excellent point because when DJ became champ, dude, that was like the birth of the flyweight division. Um, and it's like you did like a 4-man tournament, right? It was DJ versus Ian McCall, and then it was Joseph Benavidez versus I think it was a Yasuhiro Arushitani. It was like a 4-man tournament. You know, winner goes to the finals to compete for the, you know, the what do they call that when it's a brand new belt? I don't know, but it was like the winner of that 4-man tournament. You know, the two guys who won fought for the belt. Ultimately, DJ ended up. It was like he had to have a rematch with McCall, but 3 fights in at that weight, he was already the champion, right? Pantoja had to work his way up through the years. Dude, look at his resume. He's beaten Moreno 3 times. He's beaten Roy Ball, what, 2 times? He's beaten Kai Kara France 2 times. It's like, at this point, like, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, DJ has the numbers. But, like, what's to say this guy wouldn't be sitting here on, like, 9, 10 title defenses at this point had he become the champ earlier like DJ did? Which I never thought of that argument. Like, whoever brought it up, like, props. Because, like, I never thought about that. DJ never had to work his way through that division because it was so brand new. It was in its infancy stage. He got the belt in his 3rd fight at that weight class, right? Had to fight with Ian McCall in a draw, rematched him, and then he fought Benavidez for the fucking flyweight title. And then, you know, obviously things played out from there. I don't know, man. You look at resume wise, dude. Like, Pantoja might have the better resume. I mean, I would have to sit down in a separate video and really go through the 2 of their resumes. But like, the fact that this guy Pantoja had to work his way into that title, like, first and foremost, like, how the hell does Moreno become champ before this guy? Like, it makes no sense to me. Like, and that's why that's such a good argument because, like, dude, like, somehow Moreno made it to the belt faster than this guy. And Pantoja kind of had to play that long game to get up and fight for that belt, right? Like, dude, these guys that were fighting for titles before him, like, he beat them. He beat all of them, and they were somehow, like, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if he got injured or something earlier in his career or what happened, but, like, I just don't understand how, like, guys like Moreno and Kai Kara France even fought for interim belt before, like, Pantoja ever fought for the belt. So, super interesting. I think he lost to Davison. Maybe that was part of it. He lost to Davison earlier in his career. Davison Figueiredo. So that might be it. But regardless, I mean, dude, I don't know, man. At this point, I think this GOAT conversation at flyweight, I think Pantoja's closing the gap. I mean, obviously, you know, I don't know if he's ever going to catch DJ. I mean, he's 35. You're probably not going to catch up to DJ. What was 12 title defenses? 11, 12 title defenses at flyweight. You're probably not going to catch that, dude, but, like, we have to factor in, you know, him having to work his way up to that title, Pantoja, right? We have to factor in the comparison and resume. Like, I think Pantoja, all in all, might have a better resume. I think he might have a better resume, and I would have to really sit down and do a deep dive on this, but, dude, I mean, underrated guy. He's gotten a lot more dangerous on the ground. Like, he looks good on the feet. Like, I don't know, man. Like, at this point, like, I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to setting up a super fight with him and Merab. Like, I really think at this point that might be an interesting fight. I still would maybe favor Merab just because of that freakish cardio, but I don't know, man. Like, I watch a guy like Pantoja, and obviously he doesn't shoot as much takedowns as Merab. He doesn't have as good a cardio, but, like, you kind of see, like, this is what Merab could be like, minus the cardio, if he had better technique. He's almost like Merab with better technique. He's almost like Merab with better technique, right? just not quite as good of cardio. So yeah, I mean, solid performance by Pantoja. You know, I kind of expected him to be able to grapple Kai Kara and pressure him, and you know, I said coming into this fight, you're counting on Kai to. If you're picking Kai in this fight, you're counting on a big shot to connect on Pantoja. Pantoja's got a great chin. Like, I don't know who beats him in this division. Like, I'm looking at these guys. Like, Manel Kape's interesting. Van's interesting, but like, dude, the championship experience at this point, the level this guy's operating at, the danger, how threatening he is on the ground now, back-to-back rear naked chokes. I don't know, man. It's hard to root against him. So nice work from Pantoja. Man, feature fight of the night: Josh Van, Brandon Royval. What a fucking fight, dude! Fight of the year candidate. I'm blown away by Josh Van. I mean, I picked Brandon Royval, right? I picked Brandon Royval to get him on experience in this fight, and at times it kind of looked like that was happening, right? Obviously, Josh Van comes out in the first round, looks really good. He's landing some heavy shots. You know, Josh Van, in my opinion, gets the first round, and I'm like, shit, this guy's for real, right? Second round, Royval, it looks like that experience is playing a factor, right? He's, you know, landing good volume. He's starting to land. He lands a good 1-2 at one point on Josh Van, right down the pipe, a straight 1-2. And it was like, oh shit. All right, Royval's coming back. He's showing that experience. He's coming back. He's got incredible pacing. He looks like he might be starting to get Van a little bit, starting to break him a little bit. And then, you know, round 3, like, they're still going toe-to-toe, right? Still going toe-to-toe. It looked like Royval was slightly ahead of Van in that round. I feel like, though, like, the last couple minutes, though, Van started piecing him up and really closing that gap again, because I do think Royval was running away with it the first, like, 3 minutes of that third round. You know, he was landing more volume. He was looking good. But Van found that second gear the last couple minutes of that round. He started making it much more close. He started landing big shots on Royval again. Like, man, Royval's got a chin. He's got a chin, like, because some of those, man, those were snapping his head back. Those were heavy shots. And then obviously, yeah, it was much more close up until like the last, 30 seconds of the fight, 15, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds. Van lands, heavy shot on Royval, drops him, seals the deal for himself, pulls off a unanimous decision. Dude, I'm like thinking about how like last May, Charles Johnson knocked Joshua Van out. I think it was with an uppercut. Now this guy's going to be fighting for a title. Like, I'm blown away by the progression of this dude. Like, I mean, after that fight, because I remember a lot of other people kind of big up in Josh Van going into that Charles Johnson fight. And I'm like, dude, after that fight, I'm like, dude, this guy's overrated. You know, then I started watching some of his other performances, and I'm like, okay, well, he's tough. He looks good. You know, he's pretty decently well-rounded, but, like, he's not going to be a top guy, I don't think. You know, he looks good, but that's against, like, tomato cans, right? And it's like, I remember watching the Saruya fight, and I was like, okay, cool. He's got good wrestling defense. Because Saruya, all that guy seems to know how to do is wrestle. And I was like, okay, well, he's got good wrestling defense, but, I mean, Saruya's, you know, he's not a ranked guy. He's not a top guy in that division. And I saw what, you know, he did to Bruno Silva. I was like, all right, cool. Well, okay, well, Josh Van is a ranked... I don't know. After that fight, I'm like sitting here thinking, like, maybe Josh Van can break into the top 10. Like, dude, he's pretty solid. He's got nasty combos. He's got incredible speed. Really good movement. Really good defense. Obviously, he's got tons of power. Yeah, sure. Maybe this guy can get into the top 10. You know, that's what I was thinking after the Bruno Silva fight. Never did I think he was going to go from fighting a fucking 14th ranked guy to a number 1 guy who's fought for titles, who's been in the top 5 for, probably 2 to 3 years in Royval, and literally go toe-to-toe with him and drop him late to seal the victory for himself and go from being the number 12 ranked contender to number 1. On short notice. On a 3-week notice. He just fought Bruno Silva 3 weeks ago, stepped up, and got the win over Royval. I mean, this guy's going to jump 11 spots in the ranking. It's insane, dude. Like, I can't believe soon, how quick Joshua Van has improved over like the last year or so, dude. It blows me away. And this guy is 23. Like, even if he goes and he probably will lose to Pantoja, dude, he's 23. He's got so much time. Like, I honestly could see this guy being a future champion. You know, once a guy like Pantoja moves on or retires, whatever. Dude, I really could see this guy eventually becoming champion. I don't think he's gonna get it done against Pantoja. I mean, if he does, like, wow, talk about one of the craziest rises ever. But man, solid work from Josh Van. He's shocked me at this point. Like, I can't believe how much this guy's improved from getting knocked out literally a year and a month ago, 13 months ago. This guy was getting knocked out by Charles Johnson, and now he's beating Brandon Royval, and he's gonna fight for a title. Like, it's crazy to see. It's really crazy. Like, I knew he was good, but I didn't know how good this guy really was. So, props to Joshua Van. Not just fight of the night, man. This could be fight of the year. I mean, this was a sick fight. Like, a big Josh Van fan, especially after that last fight. Like, I've always respected his skills. I thought he was a pretty good guy, but like, man, after this, man, I'm a big fan. I can't wait to see what this guy does in his career moving forward. You know, obviously tough fight next, so we'll see what happens there. All right, Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. I mean, I pretty much call this to the T. I knew this was going to be a decision for Beneil. Look, I knew he was going to have that grappling advantage. I knew he was going to have the stand-up advantage. Had a little bit of a rocky start, though. At the end of that first round, he got dropped with like a right straight. And you were like, holy shit, it's going to happen to him again. Three knockouts back to back to back. But he recovered. You know, he got the fight back under his control and kind of dictated the rest of it. Like, Moicano just, I don't know, man. I don't know what he was doing in this fight. Like, he kept forcing the issue with the grappling, and I'm like, dude, you're getting thoroughly out grappled by a better grappler, you know, in Beneil. Like, I mean, anybody who's done their homework and has seen these guys past fights, you knew Beneil was going to have that grappling advantage. Which Renato, that's his bread and butter, right? But you knew he wasn't going to do shit to Beneil Dariush on the ground. And it showed. And he just kept forcing the issue, and it's like, dude, like, what are you doing? If he ever had a chance, it was on the feet, right? Because I thought Beneil looked a lot slower than he normally does on the feet. He was chopping those low kicks, chopping the body kicks. Occasionally he would come over with an overhand. Very predictable style on the feet from Beneil. And Renato just kind of just stood there and watched him, and, you know, he's losing the fight. And then late in the third, there's like 30 seconds left, and he shoots a double on him. And it's just like, okay. And, like, what was up with that cardio from Moicano? Like, dude, like, what are we... Like, this is a 3-round fight, bro. You're the number 11 ranked lightweight in the world, and you're tired in the third round. You're tired in the third round, and it's not like Beneil put a crazy pace on him. Yeah, he controlled him in the second round. Held him down, controlled him on the ground, and, you know, put in work. And it's like, this guy, I'm looking at him like 10 seconds into the third round, 20 seconds into the third round, and he's like, he's slow, and he's labored, and he's tired. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I thought Moicano looked terrible in this fight. I don't know how he was gassed in the third. That blows my mind, because, dude, Beneil's old and kind of slow at this point. Like, it's like, it's not like this was a fast-paced fight. So, like, I just don't understand how Moicano was tired. But, you know, I call this one to the T. I knew this was going to be a bad matchup for Renato with Beneil. I don't know what you do with either guy next. You know, I guess we'll see moving forward. There's a long list at lightweight right now, and neither of these guys are anywhere close to a title shot. So, you know, nice work from Beneil. Not the greatest fight on the card. It kind of, you know, slowed things down. Thankfully, you know, you had Van and Royval next, and that woke me the hell up. I think that woke everybody up after that. So, nice work from Beneil. We'll see what they do with him next. Peyton Talbot, Felipe Lima. Man, I went Felipe Lima on this fight, and yeah, I don't. It was such a weird fight, in my opinion, because, like, I thought coming into this fight, Lima was going to have that grappling advantage, which was why I was picking him, because I'm like, dude, he's going to get him down and he's going to threaten a choke. I still thought he would get a decision, but I thought he was just going to take Payton down over and over and over, and just pull off a unanimous decision, kind of ground him, beat him up on the ground, land some good ground and pound. And Payton, you were going to have to worry about Payton on the feet. I thought Payton would have the striking advantage. Felipe Lima was going to have the grappling advantage. And it's like, it flip-flopped, right? Like, on the feet, Lima was catching Talbot with some nasty shots. And then he would shoot like, the game planning was so weird from Felipe. Like, from both guys, I thought. Like, really, it's like, Lima was having success in the striking, catching Talbot, snapping his head back with good shots, landing spinning back fists, like, and then he would shoot for a takedown, and Payton would reverse him and get him on the ground and start beating him up on the ground, landed some nasty hammer fists, and then Payton would let him up after having success on the ground. Like, this was every round. Like, he would let Lima up and get back on the feet. And then Lima would start landing some good shots. Payton would land a couple good ones here and there. I don't know. They kept talking about how, Felipe seems hesitant because of the power of Payton, because he's feeling the power. It didn't look like he got caught with anything too bad on the feet from Payton Talbot. And then it's like he would start piecing Payton up on the feet, and then he would shoot for a takedown and get reversed. And it just happened over and over again. And then Payton would let him up after, beating him up on the ground with ground and pound. I thought it was a weird fight, but obviously, Payton's grappling defense has improved quite a bit. I will say, though, I think a big part of that, I really do, and I'm not trying to be a hater here, I think a big part of that is the fact that Felipe Lima is not nearly as good of a grappler as Raoni Barcelos, right? Raoni Barcelos is a national champion wrestler, and I think Felipe's grappling isn't on that level. I think that's I think that's a big part of it here. But yeah, props to Payton. He did look good in the grappling defense. His takedown defense was good. Good hips, good reversals. But in this was a fight where I thought either guy could have ran away with it if they just would have stuck to the right game plan and stuck to what was having success. Like, if Felipe would have just kept it on the feet and just kept landing, he probably would have potentially put Payton away. If Payton would have just kept it on the ground after Felipe was shooting, he maybe could have gotten a ground and pound TKO, right? It was just weird decision-making from both guys. I know they're younger guys, but, really weird decision-making. But Payton, obviously was a step ahead on the ground, and that paid dividends in the fight. And, he got a good bounce-back victory. I'm still not sold on Payton Talbot, but, that's a pretty good, solid win, right? He looked good. Good bounce back. Yeah, that's what I gotta say about Payton Talbot. Solid performance there. Jack Hermanson, Gregory Rodriguez, brutal to watch, man. Jack was doing good. He was tapping with low kicks. It looked like he was starting to create some distance in that fight. Starting to pull away a little bit. And then Gregory just clocks him, man, with a big shot, puts him out cold. That was kind of a bad stoppage, though, right? The guy's out stiff, and you literally just walk over slowly and boom, hits him with another 2 shots on the ground, I think it was. Jack was down for a long time. I think he was stretchered out. That was a bad one. Hey, it is what it is. I don't want to fault Gregory too much for that. It was a little questionable to do that after Jack was clearly out stiff, but dude, this is the fight business. You never know what's going to happen. And, these guys operate on instinct. So I don't think he's a bad guy. I think a lot of it was just instinct in the moment, and he made the decision and just fucking went with it. So solid win from Gregory Rodriguez. I don't know what you do with him. I'd probably give him someone outside the top 10, maybe a 11th through a 15 type of matchup for Gregory Rodriguez. I don't know if he's even ranked, to be honest with you. I don't even know if he's ranked. Yeah, so I don't know what you do with Gregory, but, solid performance from him there. Hyder Emil, Jose Miguel Delgado. I picked Hyder Emil in this fight. I thought he was more well-rounded. I thought he was, you know, gonna be able to avoid getting caught by Jose Miguel Delgado, but I don't know. He looked good earlier. He was landing shots. Jose Miguel Delgado with just a furious pace right out the gate, just coming straight at him. I don't think Hyder really ever got a chance to get set before he just landed a nasty knee up the middle and put him out cold. I know Hyder was protesting the stoppage, but dude, you were out, man. You were out. He was out clearly, and I just don't think any other punishment was necessary. So solid one from Jose Miguel Delgado. Quick knockout. He's definitely a dangerous guy to look out for in the featherweight division. If you can manage to avoid getting caught by him and slow the pacing down, I really want to see how this guy does in like later rounds when he can't just get a crazy KO in the first round, right? So we'll see what they do with him next. Definitely a dangerous guy to look out for, but if you can slow him down, we'll see. We'll see. All right. So Viviana Araujo, Tracy Cortez. I picked Tracy by decision. That's what happened here. I figured she would have that wrestling advantage. She is a high level wrestler. I know she trains with like Henry Cejudo and his brother Angel, I think his name is. So she's coming in. She's gonna have solid wrestling. Viviane Araujo looked strong though in that first round. Like I was surprised by how strong she was. Like got a reversal on Tracy off the takedown attempt. And had her back for a little while, but ultimately the wrestling of Tracy Cortez is just too good, dude. This is what I've always said about this, and this fight was a prime example. A good wrestler with a decent understanding of basic jiu-jitsu is always going to destroy a jiu-jitsu person on the ground. Like it's always going to happen, always. Jiu-jitsu people are so used to spending time on the bottom, and it's like they just can't hang with a wrestler that has a good understanding of jiu-jitsu on the ground, right? And that's what happened here. Like, Tracy was just able to get her down, control her, landed some good shots. Like, I thought Tracy looked decent. The feet, she was okay, but like I thought on the ground she looked good. She was landing some good shots on the ground. So all in all, it was a pretty good performance from Tracy Cortez. I don't think she's top in that division, but like obviously decent win over somebody who I don't know how was in the top 10. I don't know how Viviane Araujo was in the top 10. And Viviane, what's with the complaining at the end? Like, what's with the putting your hands up? I hate that from these fighters. I hate that when these people are getting controlled on the ground. Yes, in the third, Tracy wasn't doing the most damage and was holding her down, but it's like these people just like want to bitch about it and just sit there and throw their hands up like they're doing nothing. It's like you're doing nothing. Get back to your feet. Learn how to defend takedowns. Learn how to scramble. Like I hate that when these people just throw their hands up like, oh, what if they're not doing nothing? You're doing nothing. Like I don't know. And then she's like bitching after it, and I'm just like, what are you complaining about? Like you got your ass kicked. You got thoroughly handled in the grappling. You didn't do anything outside of the first round. Like, you really did nothing. You really did nothing. I don't know why you're throwing your hands up. Weird act by Araujo. I mean, honestly, I don't know how she was in the top 10. She sucks. Like, she's not a good fighter, like, at all. And again, coming into this, you look at every time she's been thrust into, like, a bigger fight, she's failed every single time, right? Whereas, like, Tracy has a win over, like, Jasuda Vicious, which I think Jasuda Vicious destroys her if they ever rematch. Right? I mean, at least Tracy has some decent wins under her belt. She looked good, so yeah, I don't know. We'll see what they do with Tracy next. McKinney Borshev. I think I called this by submission. I just knew he was going to have that wrestling advantage, Terrence McKinney. And, that's exactly what happened. He got him down really quick off a kick, caught the kick, got the takedown, solid double leg, and then immediately transitioned to the anaconda choke, to eventually transitioning that into a mounted guillotine, and there was just nothing Bish could do, right? Like, he was kicking like crazy, like fighting it. Props to him, he fought like hell, but dude, like McKinney's got to squeeze. McKinney's an athletic, strong guy at that division. We've known this for a long time that he has a solid grappling base. And, you know, once he gets you in a submission like that, it's just too tight. You're not getting out of it. So, you know, I mean, what, 2-fight win streak for McKinney so far? Like, I mean, honestly, if I'm his camp, I'm at this point, I'm telling this guy, like, dude, you don't want anything to do with the feet. Like, just use your grappling because, like, back in the day, like, a while back, he submitted for SCM. Super good win. And, I mean, look at Fares Siam right now. That guy's on a tear. That guy's a dangerous up-and-comer, a dangerous prospect. McKinney beat him with the grappling. So, I mean, you'd like to see this guy just lean more into his grappling because he's dominant in that. Like, I'm not ready to see this guy face top competition yet. I don't know. I mean, if you do, I would say give him someone outside the top 10, somebody like maybe like a 13th through 15th, a 12 through 15 rank. Like, let's see how he does there. But, you know, good win for McKinney, but it's to be expected. I mean, this is kind of back-to-back, like, can fights that they've given him. So, you know, I mean, if he can lean into his grappling, like, it's interesting to see where this guy could potentially go. I mean, because you remember the fight with Drew Dober. He was piecing Drew Dober up early and got caught in, what, the second round or something like that? Or maybe at the end of the first. He was beating the hell out of Drew Dober. I know Drew Dober's over the hill now, but at the time he was pretty good. So, you know, let's see what this guy does. Like, you'd like to see him lean into the grappling. It's clearly a dominant skill set he has. It's a good base. He's not very good on the feet. I know he kind of, it seemed like he fell in love with the knockout there for a little bit. And, you know, it's good that he's going back to his roots, which is that wrestling and that submission game on the ground. So, good win for McKinney. We'll see what happens next. Early prelims. Obviously, Jacoby Smith went out there and did what we all thought he was going to do. I know it wasn't as quick as like we all expected. Like I was expecting like a first round like KO. You know, ultimately he gets the submission in round 2. Had his way though up until that point. He was never in any danger. He had clear control of that fight. It looked like he was getting tired though, like in the second, like which is a little bit like But that might just be his explosive style, like, you know, because, like, I know they had talked about a guy like Conor being so explosive, which is why he didn't have the cardio. Typically, guys who are super explosive don't have that ability to go, like, you know, 15 to 25 minutes. Nico Price is a crafty veteran, you know, and Jacoby still went out there and did his thing. I don't think he loses any stock. I mean, the cardio is a little bit concerning there, but I mean, look at how many strikes this guy threw in that amount of time. Like 73, 2 takedowns, a submission attempt, right? Like, I still think he's a solid prospect in that division. Obviously well-rounded. It's gonna be hard to out-wrestle this guy, right? Unless he gets tired. I think the cardio is really the only thing that's kind of like a question at this point for this guy, you know? Because obviously knockout power, solid wrestling, solid D1 wrestling. So we'll see what they do with this guy next. Maybe not give him a rank guy yet. Let's kind of work him into the rotation a little bit more. Nico was a good like second fight, you know, because he's like an old vet, but it was clearly for Jacoby Smith to get another win under his belt over a UFC veteran who's experienced, who's been in there a long time. So, you know, good win from Jacoby. Janata Denise, Alvin Hines, like, honestly, surprising fight. It was a decent scrap at heavyweight. Like, Alvin Hines, you know, went out there and had a resurgence in the third round after getting, you know, outstruck in the first couple, outclassed. You know, he comes in and makes it an interesting fight in the third. Which, you know, that good for him, right? Like, yeah, he might not have won, but, like, with fights like that, with you, like, really, like, pushing hard and coming back in the third and starting to make it a competitive fight, like, UFC loves that kind of shit, man. They love entertaining fights. If you're entertaining, they'll keep you around for a while. So, you know, I think we see this guy in the UFC again. Entertaining fight. You know, ultimately he lost. Jonata went out there and did his thing. So, yeah, that's UFC 317. Let me see what I did on picks. So I did, let's see, 1-0, 2-0, 3, 4, So I went 8-3 on picks on this card. I had a pretty solid night of picks. 8 for 11. That's not too bad. Honestly, I did not see that coming with Van. I did not see him being that fucking good. That was wild. I didn't see Peyton having the level of takedown defense and grappling defense that he had, so those two shocked me. And I didn't see Jose Miguel Delgado landing that knee up the middle, right, with 26 seconds. So what can you do? I mean, these were just kind of like surprising wins, ultimately. But 8 for 11 is not too bad, and all together, man, like it kind of looked like a mediocre card. I mean, these three fights were always going to be good, but like these other fights, like it when this card got announced, it looked really mediocre, but I don't know. These matchmakers just know something we don't, because like they'll put together these mediocre looking cards that end up being bangers like every time. And which occasionally they have like a stinker card, but most of the time like the matchmakers put together these fights and they end up being really fucking good. So clearly these UFC matchmakers know something we don't, but I'd still want to see more big fights like in the future. So yeah, that's my predictions. 8 for 11 on UFC 317. And obviously I'm gonna make videos on like potential matchups for Ilya. What I kind of think about the whole situation. It's kind of a logjam at lightweight now, so um, I'll make a video on that. I might do a video kind of breaking down the resumes of DJ versus like Pantoja, because like I think this GOAT conversation, if you're like if you're like more of a casual, I think you look at it like, dude, there's no comparison. He's not even close to DJ. DJ's defended the belt X amount of times. DJ's on GOAT Mountain, and I don't think that's necessarily fair at this point to Pantoja, dude, because he has a hell of a resume, man. Like, and I think it'd be good to sit down and go through that, because I think this GOAT conversation at 125 is a lot fucking closer than people think. So I'll be cranking out a couple new videos throughout the week, on those two things I mentioned. And yeah, until next video, we'll talk to you later. Peace.